Hare Krishna. Today's class will be given by Her Grace Phanesvari Lakshmi Mataji. Mataji, you can take over the call.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Today's class, as Mataji mentioned, will be given by Her Grace Phanesvari Lakshmi Mataji. And today we have a special session for the glorification of His Holiness Gunagrahi Maharaj. And after Mataji will begin to speak. And after Mataji is done, we request all the callers on the call to share their experiences, or if you have anything to say about Maharaj, you can go after that. So thank you all so much for joining. We kindly request everyone to participate. Hare Krishna. Phanesvari Lakshmi Mataji, you can take over the call now. Thank you so much for taking up the service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I'll go Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Start with the pranam mantras. Om Ajnana. Please tell me if I am either speaking too fast or you can't hear me. Please do stop me and let me know. Thank you very much. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yudhapadakam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsa Sri Guru Vaishnavamsa Sahagana Radhanavam Sankam Sajivam Advaitam Sarvaitam Sarvaitam Chaitanya Yotam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sajivam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Santa Radha Samasana Dina Saptakam Samparam Sri Radha Krishna 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 Karipata Ridyasta Kripa Sindhu Dina Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Jayavata Swamini Tinamini Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kapai Padayane Gaurkada Damadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschat Shatarini Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining. And Preeti Vilasini Mataji, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord's devotee. So, so one may ask, why do we glorify the Lord's devotees? Why is it important to glorify the Lord's devotees? For me, for myself at this particular case, Gunagrahi Maharaj was very much a part of my life as I was growing up in the temple in San Diego. And for me, it's a personal privilege and an honor to be able to speak about somebody who had made such an important impact on my life. That's one thing. And the other aspect of that is also because of gratitude. So out of gratitude, for what we've been given by our spiritual masters, and I considered him to be one of my first spiritual masters, Siksha Guru. And because he is the one that gave me the first impression of Krishna consciousness. And so out of gratitude for that is another reason that we honor, that I am honoring them. This is my personal desire. Now, Radhanath Swami explains in one of his lectures that the reason why we glorify the devotees is because it pleases Krishna. Now, we can understand this personally because as parents or sisters, or if somebody praises our family members, particularly our children or our parents, or says something like, oh, your parents raised you so nicely, oh, your kids are so well behaved, we know that that gives us more pleasure than somebody telling us that we are doing such a good job. In that same way, because Krishna is the eternal Father, Krishna becomes very, very pleased when we glorify his devotees. So this is one of the reasons, besides the personal reasons, why we glorify his devotees. Another aspect, as Radha Swami explains, is because it makes us become non-envious. We get to see, we see that it makes us humble because we realize how much these devotees have done, not only for us, but for the entire world, how much they have sacrificed. And with this creates a kind of humbleness within ourselves and creates a non-envious nature. So with these two things in mind, with these two thoughts of my personal gratitude and also of this pleasing to Guru and Krishna, I will try to glorify, maybe speak a few pastimes that I've had remembrances of myself and family members and others who I've gathered to maybe give a little bit of a picture of His Holiness Gunagrahi Maharaj. So,
can you be slightly louder?
Okay. I'll put it closer. I'm on speakerphone, so I hope that... Does this help?
Yeah, this is much better.
Okay. So, I met Gunagrahi. I don't even know actually when I met Gunagrahi Maharaj. I just know that he has been a part of San Diego Temple. So, original president of San Diego was Bhaktadas, and after Bhaktadas, then Gunagrahi Maharaj became the temple president. Now, at that time, the temple was located near Balboa Park in two homes, and one home housed the Grihastas, and one housed the temple room. It's the temple itself. It's a very small house, a very small, like a little cottage, like. And so they had to sell those two places because of noise pollution, or the neighbors were complaining of noise. So they were in the process of looking for a different place to stay. And so at the time, Gunagrahi Maharaj was a Grihastha, and he was married to his wife. His name was Kirtika. And both of them together actually originally were going to get a synagogue. And the synagogue, when they found out it was to the Hare Krishnas, they said they would never sell to the Hare Krishnas. So then they found Mahatma Das, who was also there at that time, found a place in Pacific Beach in Grand Avenue. And this actually was I think it was an Elks Lodge originally. So it was completely bare. There's absolutely nothing in that temple. It was basically, he said, was a block, a cement square block. And both Gunagrahi Maharaj and his wife Kirtita actually built that temple inside the whole, I don't know if you've seen the inside of the temple, any of you, or you've seen pictures, but there are motifs, Krishna's pastimes, Govardhan Leela pastimes, Damodar Leela, actually raised motifs within the temple. These were all created by Kirtita Mataji. And Gunagrahi Maharaj explains in one of his talks that they didn't know what they were doing, and they were basically, luckily, by Krishna's mercy, they were given a large donation from some devotees, and they actually were able to use those donations to build up this temple, to create this temple. And if you walk into the temple, outside it looks just like a square box, and you walk inside, and the whole temple room is decorated with beautiful raised fascias of all the pastimes of Krishna and the different poses of Krishna. So it's very, very beautiful. And so during that time, it was so austere that they didn't even have a bathroom in there, and they actually there was a gas station on the corner of that block. So there was the gas station on the corner, then there was a diving locker building, and then it was the temple. And they would run a pipe. They rented the gas station, empty gas station, and they would run a pipe from the temple to a hose, basically, from the temple to the gas station to take showers there. So this is what was given to them, and this is what they created, a beautiful community. And my memories, I said, of Gunagrahi Maharaj, so that's a little bit of the background of the temple, of how much he did, both husband and wife, to actually make this temple, build this temple in the middle of San Diego. And my memories were of them was, I think I was maybe in my teens, my early teens, 14, 15, 16, about that time. And so I had stayed, I think I shared this before, that I had stayed in the temple during the summers, my sister and I, as our summer sleepover. So, and the thing I remember the most about them is, and it can be attested to by many of the devotees, was their complete acceptance of everybody at whatever stage they were. And they always treated all the devotees as their own children. And this was the testimony that I get from many of their devotees, that they were always so kind-hearted. He always had a smile on his face. He always greeted everybody with a smile. And he had a love of kirtan. And I think many of you know that in Vrindavan, he had these nightly kirtans in his room that had become very, very famous as something that was very, very moving. And his love for kirtan was exhibited in every single solitary kirtan that he led. And a lot of times Srila Prabhupada explains that the music should not overpower the mantra. And that is the way Gunagrahi Maharaj, that's how I remember Gunagrahi Maharaj always leading his kirtans. It was the most, you could tell his feeling of the love of the nama as he chanted, because it was just very simple tunes, very simple beats. But the bhava, the love behind that mantra could be very much apparent, and as he was chanting. So that was one of his definite loves. So I was listening to some of his pastimes. Actually, he himself was giving a interview, and so I will share a few of those tidbits that he had shared in his interview that I thought were very, very instructive to us as devotees. And then I will go on sharing a little of my personal remembrances. So he became the temple president in 1971 of the Buffalo Temple. And he was explaining how he was completely ill-prepared. He was only in his early 20s, 25, 26. And as he was explaining, he said, there was just so very few of us that we all had positions of authority. And he actually, it's interesting to note that many of the senior devotees actually came from that university, which was State University of New York at Buffalo. So I think he mentioned Bodhijan Swami was actually one of his classmates. So and I can't remember anybody else at the top of my head, but there are very many devotees. So that was a very, very, a hot pot for devotees. And so he was explaining that one of the instructions that he was given, he became the temple president, and he was telling Rupanuga Prabhu, who had been the president before, that this is very, very difficult. It's very, very hard for me to do this. It's just completely consuming me, and it's, I can't. It's making me very, very, I feel incapable of doing this. And so Rupanuga Das had explained to him. He said, everything will be all right. This is what I want you to do. He said, I want you to take the van, fill it with books, and I want you to go on traveling and book distribution. So that's what he did. He went, he filled the van with books, Krishna books at that time. And I think we in the Prabhupada Lilamrita have read how Srila Prabhupada was asking the devotees to distribute those Krishna books that had just been published. And so he went out and he said, it was the most difficult time for him. It was so difficult distributing books, but he did it, and it's very instructive about why he said he did it. He said 3 things. He said, I did it because it was what Srila Prabhupada wanted me to do. It was what Rupa Nugadas wanted me to do. Because he said everything will be all right. So these were the 3 reasons that he went out to distribute books. So he said he was out maybe 2 weeks or a month, I think he said, and he came back and he said, I was so enlivened. When I returned from distributing the books, I was so enlivened. And one of the things that Rupananda had said, that you should distribute books. And now every day you should study an hour of Srila Prabhupada's books, and you should distribute books every day. So I thought this was just very, very instructive for us. And I know that and it's also very difficult for me to distribute books. But when I do this, then I realize that it actually enthuses me to be more and more strict in my sadhana. So then after that, he became the temple president in San Diego. And again, another instruction that was given to him. And he said that he was so busy, always taking care of things at the temple, just administrative stuff, that he didn't have a chance to do anything else. And so he was explaining that, I think he said, who was it, Sarvabhauma Das, and I don't remember Sarvabhauma Das, but he said, I probably remember him if I see his face, but I don't remember the name since I was so young. But so he had come, and he kept asking him, why don't you come out and distribute books with us? And he said, I can't, Prabhu, I have so many things to do. Look at my list of things to do. And he came back the next day, and he said, okay, and he left. And then the Sarvabhauma Prabhu came back the next day and said, how about today? Why don't you come out with us today and go out on distribution? And he goes, no, I can't. I've just got so many things to do. And so he said, okay, and he left again. And he waited a couple of days, and he came and asked again. And so I think this happened maybe 4 or 5 times like this. And finally, Gunagrahi Maharaj says, okay. Of course, he's Gunagrahi's asked at that time. He said, yes, okay, I'll come out with you. And he had this whole list of things to do. And it just seemed never to get done. So he went out to distribute books. Went out for an hour, and he said, and this is also nice. He said, he went out for an hour, and he said, and we'll also have prasadam for you, so you can take prasadam. You can go out, distribute books, take prasadam, and come back and finish what you need to. So Gunagrahi Maharaj said, okay. So he went out, and he distributed books for that half day. Then he had prasadam, and then he came back. And he explained that everything on his list got finished so quickly that it just amazed him. And it made him realize that if we take care of Krishna's service, if we do what Srila Prabhupada wants, it came to my mind. This is not what he said. This is my own addition here. That I was thinking that, Krishna says that, you do what I ask, and I'll take care of all your stuff, right? So in this same way, Gunagrahi Maharaj was explaining that, everything got done so quickly, and I was thinking, he distributed books for Guru and Krishna, and Krishna helped him finish his responsibilities. So that's another lesson for us that could help us in our own spiritual life. Because I know as grihastas or people who living outside the temple and having so many responsibilities, we sometimes put off things that we think are, okay, I have to do that later. But if we take the time to take care of our sadhana and take care of doing some little thing for Krishna, then Krishna will help us do our dharma and our responsibilities. So that was another lesson that I learned from his interview. So then I'd like to share a couple of anecdotes or remembrances of some other devotees that were here at that time. So many of you may know Dharmaseta Das. He is the one that does many of the weddings, and he was also here at the same time that Gunagrahi Maharaj was here. And so he also explained how it was so austere during that time when San Diego Temple was actually being built from the inside out, as the devotees were living there, that they actually they didn't have a kitchen, so and Gunagrahi Maharaj explains this too, they would actually have sinks set up in the middle of this huge, I guess you want to say, building, and then they would have buckets underneath those sinks to catch the water as they were washing and cooking and everything, and then they would go and empty the buckets. And Dharmaseta Das was explaining that one thing that Gunagrahi Maharaj, that I always remember was there was always ample prasadam, that he made sure that everybody had good, ample prasadam, and nutritious, and there was enough for everybody. And he explained that one day he had become the cook. He was the cook in the temple, Dharmaseta Das at the time, and he came to Gunagrahi Maharaj and he said, Prabhu, he was, I guess, not Maharaj at that time. What am I supposed to cook? There's nothing to cook. And he said, are there potatoes? And he said, yeah. And he said, that's fine. He said, one day we'll have mashed potatoes, one day we'll have French fries, one day we'll have, different kind of baked potatoes. So that time, that's what that's how simple it was, that they would have just potatoes for that whole week. But it was nutritious and it was good. So the prasadam was good. So that was one of the things that Dharmaseta was saying. And another person, Ladli Devi Dasi, she was also here during that time. Many of these devotees are still here, and so I've known them for many, many years. And so another thing that Gunagrahi Maharaj had established was he did nightly dinner. What is it called? A nightly dinner program, where they would have like a buffet set up, and people would come for the buffet, and that would be right before Aarti in class, and then they would have Aarti in class. And then they would obviously stay. So this was his way of getting people to come in, always finding innovative ways of trying to get people to come to the temple. He opened the first Govinda's restaurant, in San Diego. I don't know if it was ever the first Govinda's, but I know it was the Govinda's in San Diego in the 70s, so it might have been the first one. And there was in North Park, and the devotees would cook at the temple, everything would be offered, and they would take it over to the buffet, and it was like, I don't know, $2 or $2.99 or $3 for all you can eat. So, and that was a way, and Ladli was explaining how he would use this as a preaching mode, because he would be at the restaurant, and he would actually go and greet all the people at the different tables and speak to them, and then, kind of cultivate this interest in Krishna consciousness. So he was always about kirtan and cultivating so many innovative ways of trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness in different people. And so, those were a couple of things. I'm sure there's many more, and maybe some of you can share them. My own personal remembrances, or my own personal association with Gunagrahi Maharaj was as when he was temple president. And as I said, he treated everybody like his children. And my sister was only 12, so I must have been 15, 16. And he was, first of all, to be able to trust somebody with your children, and I think nowadays we know that we're very, very careful about leaving our kids with anybody. So my father, trusted completely in Krishna, and, it goes to show how much he respected Gunagrahi Maharaj and Kirtika because of such good care they took of us. Such a good care that actually my younger brother, who was only 5 at the time, actually would stay with them. And they would take care of him, and Gunagrahi Maharaj kind of like groomed him, he, gave him his first taste of Krishna consciousness, and, he would, have him lead kirtan, and had a lot of personal association and training. And training, 5 years old, what training can you get? But just having that association of such an esteemed devotee who loved kirtan. And we would always have the opportunity to do service for him and his wife. We'd iron their clothes and stuff. But my remembrances are he would take us downtown and like I said, he loved kirtan. Every Friday night, I believe it was every Friday night, we'd have kirtans in downtown San Diego. And this was his thing, and he attracted so many different people. Now San Diego downtown has become what we call gentrified or whatever they call it. At that time, it was not such a great place, but the devotees would, without fail, every week go out there and chant. And this is what was so enthusiastic, and he cultivated so many different people like this. And even if they were not, even if they were drunk or whatever, he was always giving Krishna consciousness to them. Nobody was exempt from his attention. He gave personal attention to everybody every time he met. If you see his video of him as he leaves Dallas on his way to Vrindavan during his last day in the U.S., you can see how he goes and he greets each different person and speaks with them and basically says his farewells to everybody. And that's the kind of personality he was. He always had time for you. He always gave you attention. And he was always very, very kind. And and of course, my mother tells me, first thing she tells me, and I forgot, she told me, she goes, Amma, Penny, you have to remember to tell everybody, what does Gunagrahi mean? And so Srila Prabhupada explains when he gave him Gunagrahi the name, that Gunagrahi means he who attracts good qualities from everywhere. So not only does he attract good qualities, not only does he have these good qualities, but he actually brings out these good qualities in everybody. And that's what he did. He was able to bring out all these wonderful qualities in everybody. He was that devotee, as Srila Prabhupada explains in an analogy in the Bhagavatam, that those that are bees and those that are flies, the bees are the ones that go for the honey, and the flies are the ones that go for the bad places. So he saw the spark, he saw the good qualities in people, and he fanned them, and that's what is so endearing about him. The other remembrance of and I think the biggest thing was my family truly, truly loved both Kirtika and Gunagrahi Maharaj. Truly loved them, very much like a part of our family. They treated us like family. Every time he would come to San Diego, he would always love to have idli, sambar, and coconut chutney in my mom's house. He would come every time he visited. He would never fail to come and visit my mom, and utmost respect that he showed to my parents. And my mother would explain that when we would have programs at our house, he was the one that would speak, and my father would invite many of his Indian friends and stuff. So one particularly, who expose them to Krishna consciousness, who had just come to the U.S. So I understand this was in the 1970s, early 70s. So there were very few, but, the ones that did come, my father would invite them, and Gunagrahi Maharaj would always speak, and he was always so very, very respectful of how he spoke, and very, very endearing to everybody in that way. And the final remembrance of Maharaj that I share, this is a remembrance from my sister. I might have shared this also, that my nephew had died when he was 11 from cancer, bone cancer. And it was a very, very difficult time, obviously, for the family. But Gunagrahi Maharaj had come at that time, and he spoke at the memorial, and he spoke very, very lovingly, as he always does. And my sister had told him, Maharaj, can you please speak, because I don't think I can speak. I don't have it in me. And Gunagrahi Maharaj said to her, Prabhu, he said, remember, you're his mother. They want to hear from you. And all these people are here to support you. And by his words, he really gave my sister a lot of strength and a lot of courage to actually stand up and speak what was in her heart. So, this is what it's telling about his mood, his way of dealing with people, his love for everybody, and how personal he was in his dealings. So I wanted to share a couple of things of his. I think one I wanted to share was this poem that he wrote for his Vyasa Puja. And I will end with that. And this was for Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja a couple of years ago. He wrote this, and again, instructions. As I said, another reason why we and I didn't add this, but I guess this is a realization I had as I was speaking, is another reason why we glorify devotees is we glorify their lives, we glorify their habits, we glorify how they lived, so that they are examples of how we need to live. So I've given you, a couple of things that he said about distributing books so that enthuses us, about reading that enthuses us. And this was another thing that he wrote, and, Kirtan, obviously, chanting the holy name. And this is another lesson from him that I would like to share, and it was in a poem that he had written for Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja. It's entitled, Nothing Else Will Ever Do. Pristine morning hours, my favorite time to be absorbed in meditation on all you've let me see. Early morning hours, just you, the Lord, and me. I wish that it could last for all eternity. Realization's journal strengthening my day, Krishna's pure devotee showing me the way. Your words, your voice, your smile, placed upon my heart, I pray that they remain there to help me stay apart from the deadly world of Maya that beckons as the sun rises in the heavens, calling everyone. As Kali's agents lure, mad after their prey, early morning thoughts recalled will get me through the day. With transcendental knowledge, I'll beat them at their game. Your words and books will tame them and help them chant the name. Transcendental sound, your mystical infusion, will shower Kali's agents, ending their intrusion. This chanting and remembering, inspiring others too, is our eternal pastime, revealed to us by you. Sankirtan forever, what can be as sweet? Communing with the Lord and everyone we meet. As the day is brought to a close and morning comes once more, again I yearn your darshan, your mercy to explore. And if I cannot get it, if time does not allow, I am pained in separation and cannot figure out how I'd go on fighting Maya if I couldn't hear from you, whose giving love of Krishna nothing else will ever do. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, and all glories to Gunagrahi Maharaj, an example of Krishna's pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Mataji. It was such a beautiful session. And it's always nice to hear from someone who's had some personal association and seen Maharaj through the years. It was very heart-moving. I also liked the meaning of Gunagrahi and how he actually was an embodiment of the meaning. Very, very beautiful session, Mataji. Very indebted to you. So I can really feel how much you actually would be missing him now. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. So, Mataji, do we have Dhanavadi Mataji on call if she wants to speak?
I don't know if she's on. Maybe she didn't remember.
Okay. So, Kaumudiki Mataji is there on the call. Kaumudiki Mataji, do you want to say something?
Thank you very much, Funny Prashapati Mataji. Very, very nice you say. And we have, he's from the Baltimore. And I mean, he appeared in Baltimore and then he joined. I don't know where he went and joined. But anyway, so he was coming more often to Baltimore also. And he always asked, if my husband is on there, he was asking, where is Joy Goswami? Where is he? I want to see him. I want to meet him, like that. And sometimes he also came and stayed with us. He said, I asked him what he would like for the breakfast. So then he said, this is oatmeal. I said, how? I don't know, I never made it. so I don't know how to make. So then, don't worry, I'll teach you. And he had a very big smile, always. He has a big smile. And he said, okay, this is simple, it's very easy, and it's nourishing, it's very nice. So then, okay, I will come in the kitchen. And so he came in the kitchen, and he showed me how to make oatmeal. So since then now, my husband wants to, so then I'm also making the way he taught me. So thank you, Gunagrahi Maharaj. And he is very, like also he would have in the kirtan, he loved the kirtan. And one time he was teaching us one song, but I forgot that it was a Lord Chaitanya song, glorifying Lord Chaitanya. It's a very, very nice song. I have to find it in my things, wherever, I don't know where I can find. But it was a very nice song for glorifying. And he was singing, and then I forgot the tune, so I asked him again, how is it sung? So then he said, he sang it again like that. So it was very nice. And he's always compassionate, very compassionate. And what can I say, he's very kind. And then sometime we also had one of his disciples here in Baltimore, living close to the temple. She and her husband. When there was a program, they had in Panchatattva, they invited Panchatattva, and then they were having, so Gunagrahi Maharaj was there, and he led a very wonderful, ecstatic kirtan. So every time when he comes in, like now we have a new temple in Baltimore, but before when he had the old temple, he every year usually he comes, and sometimes twice a year or something. And then we very nice kirtan lead the kirtan. So I don't have much to say, because this is what I had associated about making oatmeal and like that, and serving him prasadam. So one time he said, yeah, I eat so much, he said. I said, okay, but what would you like? So then he said, I eat vegetables, but I eat a lot. I said, okay, don't worry about it. And I prepared lots of different vegetables, and that vegetables just bake. You just clean it, cut it, and put it in oven 350 and bake it like that. No oil, no butter, ghee, anything. And then he had some, I think some kind of masala. So then I offer it, and then he comes and then he eats. So he just takes those in a plate, I serve him, and then he just takes that masala and put it on, and he would eat. And there was so much left. Then he said, you made so much. I said, you told me that you eat too much, so much. So then I prepared more. So then I prepared. And that time, I don't know if some devotees know that devotee who's a singer. He used to be in Vrindavan, but I forgot his name. And so
Ajamil.
Huh?
I think it's Ajamil Das.
Ajamil?
The one that would...
Ajamil. So,
yeah, Ajamil, that he would travel with Maharaj and chant, yes.
Yeah, he was here. So then Maharaj told him that he had to finish everything. And he ate, because he said, this is very nice, I should eat like this. That's what he was saying, Ajamil. So it's very nice. So then Ajamil was also traveling with him so many times, and he will do the kirtan, lead the kirtan, and then. But Maharaj always spoke softly. And one time he was saying that his doctor was telling him that he should speak louder. That way his muscles in the throat and then gets some exercise. So sometimes he tried, but usually he just speaks softly. That's how it happened. So very nice devotee. And like in 1 year, when he was in Mira Road temple in India, we were there. So then we thought we want to. No, first he was there. Bangalore went for treatment. So then we were in India, so we said, okay, we'll go to Bangalore. So as we reached the Bangalore, he had already left from there. And he then told that he's in Mira Road. So we went to Mira Road. We came from Bangalore we went to Mumbai. I went to Mira Road to meet him. But then the day we went there, he had gone to Pune. So we didn't meet him. And the day before we went Pune, somebody told us that he's in Pune, so we went to Pune and he wasn't there. So we went to Mira Road and he had gone to Pune, so we didn't meet. That's what happened. So that was the last time we tried to get in touch with him, but we didn't make it. Then after we came here, we heard that he was in Vrindavan. Thank you very much, Mataji. You have given so many pastimes of his. He became president, and then we didn't know about that he was in president in that. That was Radha Giridhari temple, I think.
Yes, Mataji, Radha Giridhari. It's Radha Giridhari temple, yeah.
Yes, San Diego. We came there one time. It was a very nice, beautiful deity. And the congregation was also nice that time when we went there. It was nice. Thank you, Mataji. Very, very wonderful. We have lost a very nice association of Gunagrahi Maharaj. But his memory remains. Whatever he has taught us, it stays with us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Chandra. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Amazing steps.
If Dhanavadi Mataji is not there, I'll share the pastime that she had spoke about. So, as I was saying, Gunagrahi Maharaj loved to do book distribution, and I mean, he was always traveling. So he joined. I think Idijamana Swami was in Dallas last week. So he was narrating one incident with Gunagrahi Maharaj where Idijamana Swami, as we know, he travels from place to place and puts on these great big programs and stuff. So she said this. It was in. Where was it? Preeti Vilasni, where did she say? Croatia? No, Serbia? Right before. I'm trying to remember where, Serbia or somewhere they just finished the war. There's a big war going on. I can't remember. Serbia or can't be Croatia. It's maybe somewhere in that part of the world anyway. And so Gunagrahi Maharaj had told Indijamana Swami, come on, let's go. We need to go distribute. We need to go here and we need to go traveling here in this area. And Indijamana Swami had said, what, now? He said, yes, right now. Let's go. And so they just got up and they took off to this part of the world where it was a very hot spot where there was still a lot of fighting and it was not a safe area. And so they had gone through this area and they were traveling around I'm assuming, chanting and just trying to distribute books and stuff. And then bad guys, I don't know, whoever was fighting actually stopped them and pulled a knife on them and were going to kill them at that point. And somebody showed up. Preeti Vilasni, do you remember who was that showed up? A father? Was it a priest, she said, that showed up?
Yeah, I think she said it was a priest. It was
a priest who came. Yeah, a priest showed up. I don't know if anybody else heard Indijamana Swami Maharaj's narration of this event. Then please add, because I'm so bad at remembering. But she said, that he had said that a priest showed up and said, you shouldn't kill these people. They're what did he say? But he convinced them not to kill them, and so they let them off. So
something like
there's a man of God or something like that. He must have said something to that effect, and so they let them go. So and I mean, just thinking about, we in the comfort of our own home sometimes are afraid to go out, but these fearless warriors, I mean, literally they are warriors going out into such areas that is so, detrimental to life and limb, and they yet are willing to go out and distribute books like this. And there's so many situations. I would actually like to add one other incident. And this is actually not about Gunagrahi Maharaj, but just speaking about devotees going out, that I remember my Bhakti Sastri teacher, Vrajabasi Das, he was in Africa during that time when there were so many, the wars that were going on between the tribal wars and, a lot of things. And the devotees were out there distributing. And so he actually was also there, a part of the group that was distributing. And he explained that one time as they were distributing, they were caught by some militants, and they were put in jailed inside of one house, and they knew they were going to die. I mean, it was without a doubt that they were going to get killed. And he was explaining how they were so afraid that they started chanting the Nrsimha, Prarthana, the Jayadev, the one that we chant for the protection of devotees. So they started chanting that real loud, and it was like any minute that people were going to come in to kill them. I mean, they were just waiting to, find the right time. And as they were chanting, the head of the group of militants actually showed up, and he saw them, and he said he came out and he told the guys, let them go, these guys are not doing anything bad, let them go. And so they were released. But it was, I mean, I'm not explaining it, but I'm not explaining it as well as he did, obviously, but I mean, it was literally they were going to die. It was, the end was near, and Lord Nrsimhadev, protected them. So what devotees do for spreading the mission is just amazing, and for that we are forever grateful. So
wonderful, Mataji.
Thank you. So I just had to add that, because I don't, if there is time, since there's time, I would actually like to read his Vyasa Puja offering from a couple of years ago, because I think it also, especially, since he just passed, it's just very, very momentous. I don't know. It just fits anyway, it seems appropriate. So is that okay, Preeti Vilasni? Is there time? Is there anybody else who would like to share before I read this? Okay. Dear Most Srila Prabhupada, when I was a little boy, I knew nothing about the soul. All I thought was that when you die, you don't exist anymore. That frightened me. Some nights I would lie awake crying after my mother had tucked me in. I would call out for her, and she would run up the stairs, hold me in her arms, and ask me what was wrong. I don't want to die, I repeatedly sobbed. She would roll me back and forth, patting me on the head, saying, everything will be all right. Don't worry, everything will be all right. I would finally lie back down, emotionally spent, and go to sleep, but that anxiety in the depths of my heart still remained. As I grew older, I became so absorbed in sense gratification that I stopped thinking about death, nor was the subject ever dealt with in high school or college. When we all started experimenting with mind-altering drugs at the university, we would stay awake at night speculating about what was reality, and again, the subject of death came up. But this time, I somehow got the idea that we were all eternal, and that, hey, maybe we were even God himself or itself. The idea of being God sounded pretty darn good. Somehow, though, it never seemed to work in my practical life. Quite the contrary. My suffering and confusion only mounted. Then that day of days finally came. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. You lift up my life with the magic of the holy name. I have never seen or felt anything like it. Nevertheless, it was still so hard to let go of my desire to enjoy. Maya had to beat me to the ground to get me to finally crawl helplessly through the doors of your temple. Home at last. And finally I came to understand the real meaning of death, of the self, and of God. After many lifetimes, that deep-rooted fear of non-existence had come to an end. Now death Nowadays, death once again is very much in the forefront of my mind. My health is declining, and the doctors say the disease is terminal. But even if it is, the purification it has put me through has been saving my life, my real life, more than any bodily cure I ever could have found. For along with my illness, you have come to purify me, forcing me to learn very hard and painful lessons I had always so stubbornly avoided. You are also so mercifully flooding me with the most wonderful support of your loving devotees. On account of the above, being faced with death has thus become one of the best things that has ever happened to me, rather than the unthinkable misery I did not know how to confront when I was young. I am reminded of how the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam so graphically explains that it is becoming the general rule in Kali Yuga that relatives and friends of so-called loved ones who are dying are often able to think only of how they themselves will benefit from their dear one's demise. They have neither the knowledge nor the desire to comfort and uplift their lifelong companions when they are about to leave this world. Thus multitudes are dying in loneliness, bewilderment, and despair. There is no doubt that had I remained embedded in the culture I was brought up in, I would now be suffering the same fate. I would have had the same fear as always, not knowing where to turn for the answers and not feeling the genuine affection I would have so desperately needed. But you intervened and picked up this lost, sobbing spiritual child and held him in your arms, and you have been rocking him back and forth ever since. You have instilled within me that tranquility and faith I had always been looking for. I am at last convinced that yes, just as my mother always said, everything will be all right. Your most grateful servant, Gunagrahi Das Goswami. Thank you.
Hari Bol. Beautiful. Dandavat Mataji.
Dandavat Mataji. Dandavat to you. Dandavat to Maharaj.
And we saw, many of you may have seen the last hours of Gunagrahi Maharaj, and we see how his god brothers, Bhakti Vrinda Govinda Maharaj, Buddha Maharaj, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, all these different devotees had come to be with him and chant with him. And that is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That is the grace of Srila Prabhupada. That they've created for us a family that will come for us at our time of need. Thank you very much for this opportunity. All glory to the simple devotees. And thank you all, my God siblings, for being there for me every day, every morning, allowing me to cherish Srila Prabhupada and his books. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Thank you, Mataji, for your association. Dandavat Pranam. Gurudev ki jai. Indijano Maharaj also there, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. We also miss your association after a long time. You give us association. Please give your association regularly.
Thank you, Pinda Gopika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for sharing all the memories with Maharaj. Actually, I have not a personal association with Maharaj, but his disciple. We know Dharmaraj Prabhu, yes, from San Diego only.
Oh, yes. I knew him when he was not even born. I knew his parents. I know his parents very, very, very well.
Yes. And then Prabhuji was, when they used to come book distribution, they used to stay in our house. And before he was not initiated, but maybe 1-2 years back, he got initiation from Gunagrahi Maharaj, and then he was telling how Maharaj saved their whole family. After his parents, was when they had a confusion, everything, whenever they need, and Maharaj saved me. Actually, he saved my life, and he gave the invitation. Last year also he was coming, and he was serving Maharaj in Kartikata. He was I think Dharmaraj Prabhu was the personal servant of Maharaj also. Maharaj actually took him with him, and when he went south.
Yeah, he's not a Maharaj Prabhu is a boy. I mean, he's just he's not a it's not an adult. He was a teenager, and Maharaj took him under his wing, and saved his life. Really saved his life, and and helped him.
Yeah, so from that time I was always thinking about Maharaj. Very day, especially whenever something when Maharaj he was sick, I was thinking about him, and then really feeling something. Even though I didn't have any association with Maharaj, but I got some feelings. Thank you, Mataji. And Mataji, Maharaj was in the beginning, Baltimore County Mataji. Yes, thank you, Mataji, County Mataji, you and I wish for sharing Maharaj's memories. It's really nice.
Thank you, Anjana Gopika Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for speaking on Maharaj. Thank you. Is there anyone on the call who has some association with Maharaj or has heard something about Maharaj that they want to share?
Mataji, I want to share, I don't know much about Maharaj, but in 2007 we went Srirangam, Kanchipuram, Mahabalipuram, Tirupati Balaji, Rameshwaram with Radhanath Maharaj, more than 4,500 Vaishnava. That time Maharaj will serve us like Mataji, I cannot explain in a words that Maharaj and his team will serve prasadam to all the Vaishnava, and then they will just fold the hand and just down and said, everybody, you need anything more? You need anything more? Mataji, it's really crying that time, that how sincerely they serve the Vaishnava. And Maharaj is explained a lecture also, I forgot Mataji, but how humble Maharaj is, that I cannot explain in a words, Mataji. I know that much only. One lecture Maharaj is given. We all are in Srirangam, and especially when the prasadam is serving and the team is just begging, just fall down and begging hand and said, you want anything, Mataji? You want anything, Mataji? Can we serve more prasadam? It's just too hard, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. It's in 2007, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. That's the mood he was in, and I forgot to add, most important, that he was the one that established the temple in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and that was basically nothing. There was nothing there, and he had all these great ideas, but since he wasn't in a position of authority, that he could not put them into practice. And he would give advice in different temples, but he had these ideas, and so he asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj, where could you go? Where could I, do some service? And so he is actually, I think he was in, he had gone on the Polish tour with Indijamna Swami, but they had, I think, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, well, they really need somebody in South America. So he traveled around South America, and he finally decided on Argentina, Buenos Aires, and he said it said the 5th largest city in the world or something. So he stopped. He decided to establish a temple there. There's absolutely nothing there, and so from the ground up, he built he actually bought land. They bought land, and they were planning on building a temple there, and they were collecting donations, and his devotees would travel around U.S. and South America collecting donations to build a temple and stuff, but that didn't happen. They couldn't because, all, unforeseen circumstances, how that happens. So he said, well, why don't we just, sell the land, and by Krishna's mercy, the land was, and we'll buy whatever we can. And so they sold the land, and by that time, the land had increased in price 4-fold. So they were actually able to buy a temple. And so now in that temple, there is a wonderful congregation, completely, built up by Maharaj. And also, you cannot say Gunagrahi Maharaj without saying Gandharvika Devi Dasi. She was actually temple commander in San Diego also during that time, and she was like his right-hand man. So Gunagrahi Maharaj, Gandharvika, and her husband Mahaharidas, they're the ones that established the temple in Buenos Aires, and she was amazing. She was, and she was doing cooking schools and all getting on TV in Buenos Aires. I mean, it was a very, very, high class restaurant that she established, under his instruction. She was it, and unfortunately, she also passed. Actually, a couple of months, maybe a year before Gunagrahi Maharaj, she just passed last year, and then he passed. So both of them are definitely probably cooking up something in the spiritual sky at this point. So, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So, if there's no one else who wants to share anything, we can end the call. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Matajis, for sharing. It was a very beautiful session. We'll end the call now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Gunagrahi Maharaj ki jai, Grace Phanesvari Lakshmi Mataji, Her Grace Kamadati Mataji, Grace Vrinda Mataji, Her Grace Anjana Gupika Mataji, and all the Matajis who shared ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for listening. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you, Lakshmi Mataji ki jai also. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Phanesvari Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Komodike Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji.